Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the Queen's Court. I'm your host, Stephanie, aka Queen. As always, we got a lot to talk about. You know how we do it. We'll review last week's game, preview next week's game, and talk about all the Knicks storylines in between. Knicks were 1-2 since we last met. An opportunity last night to make ground in the standings, and we weren't able to do that with a disappointing loss. We'll talk about that. We got some. The next two should be gettable. Again, depends on who shows up. And Anunoby may be back from what we hear and understand. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about the minutes distribution. I was just looking at it. I was pretty surprised that Bojan is playing like under 20 minutes a game, at least over the last three. So we'll talk about that. Let's bring in. Oh, I also want to say, shout out to Sim, the creator of the channel, for the event he put together at Legends, to welcome Andy. For those that don't know, he's called International Andy because he lives in Poland. And so he was in the United States for about a week. A lot of times when we share the panel, we're sharing a panel from different states, and in Andy's case, a different country. So we don't always get an opportunity to meet each other. So this was our first opportunity, at least my first opportunity. I think most of our first opportunities, even Sims, if I'm not mistaken, to meet Andy. I believe that was his brother or family members. And it was a great time. The game was a mess, a hot mess. We'll talk about that. But to be able to share that experience with the NBK fam kind of took the edge off. DJ Shuttle was in the house, Ron and John from Still Nick fans. Hard to get both of them in the house at the same time, but both of them were there. Two Knicks chicks was there. We had a great time. Ajay, he's on the panel tonight. He came through for the pregame. Jarrell came through for the pregame. It was E-Rule. It was just all fam. It was a great time. So shout out to Sim, who doesn't live in New York. I'm not gonna say where he lives, but he drove all the way up to New York for the event, and then after the post game, drove all the way back. So shout out to him and for what he does to keep us together. That's why a lot of us have our own channels and we still come back. This is home base for sure. So let me bring in the panel. We got the Dope Soul panel. Tony Crow couldn't make it tonight. DJ Shuttle doing big things on the ones and twos. I think he's on IG Live Monday. So you guys can check out DJ Shuttle on the IG Live. We got Jeff, we got Stafford Don, Ajay, and Lady in the Chef will be joining the Queen's Court starting next week. So that should be great. We'll welcome her then. But how you guys doing?
Great.
I'm blessed. Can't complain, man. Nice to be here again tonight. Chopping it up with y'all. Knicks.
Always, always a pleasure to be here with you guys. Always a
Yeah.
pleasure to be talking about the Knicks.
Yeah, listen, I was saying before, I appreciate you guys, having my back and showing up, for me, the panel for Queen's Court is in flux right now as I try to find some steady members, but other than me and Jeff, but whenever I, put the call out, if you guys can make it, y'all hop on. So I really, really appreciate that. And
Yeah,
that's
you,
for
you
everybody else who hops on. I appreciate you.
you sent out the Queen signal.
That's right. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so listen, we got a lot to talk about. I'm just gonna start. I gotta figure out how to do this on my show. I love having us on top of the slides. I gotta figure it out. But let's start with the MBK family of shows, pregame, postgame, the shoot around with Simeon Russell, the creator of the channel, the NBA wrap up with Ron of Still Nick fans, the controversy with Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, the Losers Lounge with Tony Crow of Knicks and Bruises, live shows and videos by International Andy whenever he's up for it. I believe he landed safe in Poland, if I'm not mistaken. Queen's Court, this show right here with Stephanie, myself of Dope Soul Sports Talk, and then special programming and events by Sim, such as the one last night when we did the pregame, postgame at Legends, and then actually went to the game. And also, we had access to shoot around as well. So shout out to Sim for that. All right, let's get into it. I didn't have the slides last week. Stafford is a If you can mute your mic, you'll let me know. So right now the Knicks are 37-27, 1-2 over our last 3 games. We're still fourth. We are still holding on to the fourth spot in the Eastern Conference. We lost our last game. Our offensive rating is 14th on the season, 29th over the last 3 games. Defensive rating, 8th on the season, first over the last 3 games. Net rating, 8th on the season, 13th over the last 3 games. We were 1-2. We lost to Atlanta. We beat Orlando. We lost to Philly. In Orlando, DiVincenzo was a high scorer with 21 points. Sims had 9 rebounds. We did not shoot well. 38.4% from the field, 30.8% from three, 72.7 from the free throw line. Orlando, low scoring game. Actually, at the time, it was a record, right? We held them 74 points, which is the lowest scoring game this season. Brunson had 26. Achua really beasting. We'll talk more about him. He had 14 rebounds. And the Knicks shot well, 48% from the field. Is that right? 48.5% from three and 75% from the free throw line. Then we had dud last night in Philadelphia. And we'll talk more about it, where we now scored the lowest points in the season with 73. Brunson had 19, Hart with 11 rebounds. Look at that. 32.5% from the field, 22.5% from three. Philly wasn't that much better, at least through 3 quarters. They might have picked it up in the last quarter, and 75% from the free throw line. So that's the rundown. Let's get back to the panel. Talk about, this week, wins against, one win against Orlando and 2 losses against Atlanta and Philadelphia. What stood out for you this week? And if you want to key on, last night's game, you can. Jeff, we'll start with you, Stafford, and Ajay.
Well, I'm ready for the roller coaster to stop. I want to get to playing good ball again and just stay there for a little bit. I mean, and look, there's always circumstances, right? Without Brunson, we're clearly not a good team, but we had him against Philly, and we still just struggled mightily to shoot the ball. I mean, I don't think it's a panic time or anything like that. You just chalk it up to maybe an intensity level that wasn't as high because they were missing so many players. Kind of interested to see that we run it back against them tomorrow and see what the energy level and what the shooting looks like in the rematch. But, it wasn't just a 22.5% shooting from three. It was on 40 attempts or something like that. So we were putting up a ton of them and just not making anything. And that's really tough. When you have that that happen and as JJ said, without Maxey, without Embiid, that can't happen. You got to find a way to win that game. But it's the NBA, and if you don't come with your best effort, then things will happen. It's kind of crazy that in 2024 the Knicks gone back-to-back games not allowing a team to reach 80 points though. That's insane. And that's without our best defensive player not even in the lineup. Imagine how good they could be defensively when OG is back. I mean, clearly he's an upgrade, and so that and the fact that they had those 2 performances without him, I think speaks volumes to how good they can be defensively. But I also think that we need to kind of be able to strike a better balance, between being able to score the ball and being able to stop people. And 29th in the NBA. I can't believe there's been somebody who's been worse. Really, that's the surprising part about that stat. And for a while it was, just when Jalen was out that it was that bad. But even last night it was bad all the time. But prior to him getting hurt in Cleveland, I think when he was in the lineup, we were like the 3rd best offense, and when he sat, we were back in the bottom of the league. So hopefully we can get back to that a little bit, but. I think that there are some interesting problems that need to be hammered out, but the return of OG Anunoby solves a lot of that stuff. So hopefully he comes back and he's healthy and he's back to the guy who we went 14-2 with.
We shall see. We shall see, Jeff. Listen, we need scoring.
Hmm.
I get that our defense will be better. We were number one this past week. But not that our defense has been great during this stretch, but at least last week it was pretty good. And listen, I get it. OG coming back, he's going to shore up our defense, but and you need good defense. But if you don't have offense, you're just not going to win. You're just not going to win in this league. And so, like JJ, shout out to JJ, always rock with us. Brings up a good point. Not only that, now you don't have the shooting, you don't have the scoring around Brunson, and it makes it easier for them to key on him. And we'll talk about whether just Brunson coming back, excuse me, OG coming back is going to be enough to open up this offense. I'm not so sure, but we'll talk about that a little later, soon, I should say. Staffer, what
Yeah.
stood out for you this week, or if you want to focus on last night's game, you can.
Well, I'm gonna try and go through the three games real quick. I think the Cleveland game. I think in the first
Atlanta, you mean?
was it Atlanta or Cleveland?
Was
It was
it? It
Atlanta.
was.
It was Atlanta. Well, I didn't get to see Atlanta.
You didn't miss
But
anything.
but let me but let me jump. No, it had to be Cleveland first because that's where he got injured and he never came back in the Atlanta game. So let me start with Cleveland game
No,
first.
Cleveland was last week, though. We talked about Cleveland last week.
We talked about okay.
Yeah, that was for last show.
Okay, well, I didn't get to see the Atlanta game. Even with the Cleveland game, I feel like everybody on the team went well. Everybody, as far as fans, when you see Bronson went down, I think everybody started holding their breath, and it was worried a little bit that we may lost the season. But thank God it was nothing serious with his knee. He got some therapy, and that was good. Now, as far as last night's game, I, I thought that we didn't come out with the sense of urgency. Um, Josh Hart, we love him today and then hate him tomorrow. That's the thing with me and him because he's like real up and down, very indecisive with his shots. I think he had a lot of opportunities where he could have took the shot and make some great drives to the basket, but he was so hesitant. And I think when he's hesitant like that, with not having much scoring around Bronson, it puts a lot of pressure on Jalen. And then, as far as the other guys, we can't really expect too much of them. They just coming in there to do their job. Precious was okay. I liked his 14 points, I think 15 rebounds in one game. I think that was against Orlando. Um, and as far as the Orlando game too, I thought that we came out with much urgency, knowing that we had to take back the fourth seed and punch this team in his mouth, saying that when you come into the Garden, this is the type of atmosphere that you're going to get, and the intensity is going to rise up. So I like how he bounced back in that game, and then but I feel like we just got to watch the tape, get our defensive um how I should say defensive positions right, and defend, because what I was telling you today, Queen, I feel like between Brogan and iHeart, and I mean Hart, Josh Hart, it was very confusing. Well, in my eyes, in my opinion, it was very confusing for the coach to leave who to leave in, and he's more of a defensive person, so he will more leave in Josh Hart for that purposes. But at the same time, Josh Hart is too hesitant to shoot. Why you gonna have Bogan is gonna come in and just let it fly? You see, when he came in for those couple minutes, he was just letting it fly. I think he had like probably like 6 or 9 points within the first couple minutes when he came. So we do need to give him more minutes, but it's just the fact that his defense, it's so conish that that we can't really have him out there too long. And that's where Josh Hart have to come in. When he comes in, he's not giving you that offense. So it's kind of I don't know how to say it, man, but it's a tough decision coming down the stretch to figure out who you want to put in that position. But
Because to your point, even if you want to put defenders around him, the defenders you would put around them are not juggernaut offensively. So you would put Hart around, like say you had McBride at one, Hart at two, Bogey at three, Precious at four, and maybe you had Sims or even Isaiah Hartenstein at five. That's not an offensive. I mean,
right,
you have the defense around him, but offensively, you're still going to
exactly,
struggle with that team.
exactly. That's why I say it's going to put a lot of pressure on Bronson when you even have Dante kind of struggling. So I expect us tomorrow to come out with more urgency and punch back Philly in the face and win the season series and really claim that fourth spot for sure.
Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna say this real quick before Ajay. That game, that loss last night was unacceptable. Period. Point blank. To me, that wasn't even an X and O's um, loss. Obviously we didn't shoot well, but I just felt like like we talked about the energy, the flatness, the lack of urgency. I don't even know who that team was. I don't remember a Nick team. I know Nick teams to not shoot well. Yes. But to not fight, or it looked like they weren't fighting, to come out like that, I don't know who that team was mentally. I'm not sure who it was, and there's just no excuse. I mean, I guess that's similar to Cleveland game when Brunson went out. Maybe they let their guard down. Maybe that's what the Knicks did when they found out Embiid nor Maxey would be in the game. But when you have that championship mentality, that's the time when you take advantage of that. Like it doesn't matter. It's like, wow, if we come out and do what we're supposed to do, we're going to be able to get one. That mentality just wasn't there. And then I also wonder if Brunson was hurt. He played 32 minutes. He sat longer than usual. Wasn't his usual aggressive self. Um, so he may not be 100% either.
Let me
Uh,
say one more thing, Queen.
Yep. Mhm.
Um, the same thing that you said. I was kind of confused in the first half when Bronson came out, and I thought he sat down a long time. I think that was very unusual, and that's where the I think that's where the game kind of let go a little loose in the first quarter because we normally see Bronson normally play at least 10 minutes or yeah, but probably about 9 to 10 minutes in the first quarter, and he sat down from I think about the 7th minute in the first quarter to almost about the 7th minute in the second quarter. So I found that very odd, and that was very confusing. And another thing have me really kind of not really backpedaling, but Burks, man, 5 minutes, 29% from the three. I was vulturing for you earlier when we made the trade because I figured, right, a veteran presence. You know what Tom's like. You know what to do in the offense, and I think he's just stinking it up, bro. So I think we should try and give Shake Milton 5-10 minutes to see what he could do.
We'll talk about it.
Uh,
We'll talk about that. Ajay, your thoughts on the past week? Salute, coach. Um, or if you want to focus on last night's game, you can.
Um, well, salute to Queen, Staffa, Jeff, and of course the chat. Uh, I I don't agree that they didn't play. They didn't try yesterday.
Mhm.
I think they played. Case in point, so uh, listen, they held Philly to what is it, 78, 79 points or whatever. So they were out there playing defense. Not that Philly's a great team, but Philly's an NBA team. If you don't defend, I don't care who you got on the court. They could run up the score real quick. So if you're not defending, it could go sideways pretty quick. So the fact that they were able to hold Philly under 80 points, to me, like, they were out there hustling and playing and back and forth. It's the NBA. There are nights where the shots just don't fall. They just don't drop. It's that we had open shots. We took the shots. It just, Dante DiVincenzo, he didn't have a good night. Brunson didn't have a good night. He scored points, but he was not very effective. His efficiency was not really. I mean, he took a lot of shots. He took a lot of beating, and sometimes the shots just don't drop. So I don't. Listen, there's no reason there's no cause for alarm. I don't think any one of us here is, but there are nights where we know our team. We don't have a lot of great scorers on the team. Our team is successful as like collectively because everybody play their part and everybody do their role. Okay, so and sometimes and on top of that, we have a lot of guys, a lot of injuries. So this is really not the team, but those guys that are there are trying. And
AJ, how did we look against Orlando? There was a sense of urgency. This team this team came out the locker room flat. I get what you're saying. They miss shots, and that happens in the NBA. You miss shots. I've seen the Knicks miss shots before, but they came out flat. Sure, they picked it up and they brought it. I'm talking about the energy, the approach to the game. They came out flat. Like there was no too much passing around, getting in the lane instead of putting up the shot, sending it back to the three like we hitting. We were shooting like 20-something% from three. Why are you driving? Like, I don't know. I just felt like they weren't connected to the game plan. They weren't like, what are you doing? Even Brunson getting in the key, that's his spot.
Queen.
And instead of putting up the shot, he passing it out to somebody else. Like, nah, the Knicks didn't show up last night. In my opinion, they didn't show up.
Brunson had an off game, like no doubt about that, right? But the passing up shots, this is how we play every night. Except on some nights, DiVincenzo shoots better, Jalen Brunson shoots better, and we have other guys that are shooting better. They just weren't shooting better last night. So but it's the same game. It's the same game we play every night. We play the same way. Besides Brunson passing up shots, everything else happened exactly the way it happened. Josh Hart wide open. He hesitates, wait for a defender to come close to him. Then he dribbled the ball and we do the same thing.
But we're not losing because of Josh Hart. We already know what Josh Hart is.
I'm not saying we are.
Brunson, to me, I don't know what's going on with him. But last night but again, I'm making a distinction between missing shots and approach. To me, I think it was more than just missing shots. The Knicks did not come out of that locker room fired up to play like they were against Orlando. That's just how I see it. They were super flat. We've seen them play energetically with some urgency and miss shots. I've seen that. To me, this was totally different.
The rule of thumb, as out of every 82 games, you could probably count at least 8 games where they're going to come out flat. At least 8 to 10 games. Every team. Okay, Orlando, when we played them, they came out flat. But you can count on that.
This wasn't one of those games. I need the Knicks to have the eye of the tiger. You 8-10 or 7-9, what we were. You're going through a lot of injuries. You're playing at home. You got a Philly team coming in without Embiid, without Maxey. They starting whoever he was with the corkscrew shot. I mean, come on. You got to come out with more energy than that. You got to come out drooling like, yo, this is an opportunity. I just didn't get that from them. And you're right. They didn't shoot well. But to me, it seemed like it was more than that.
It happens. And, one thing we could guarantee is we're not going to have the next game's not going to be that way. I'm not saying they're going to win the next game or they're going to lose the next game, but they're not going to come out not shoot. And if they're not shooting well the next game, rest assured they're going to be driving, they're going to be getting calls, they're going to be doing a whole lot of other things instead of keep trying to shoot and the shots not falling. So they're going to have a different game plan.
That's the other thing. And this is where I need Brunson to get better too, because this is something Lowry will do. You see all of these savvy guys, get when things bog down, they'll just go in just to get a foul and go to the free throw line, just to put points on the board. And I just think last night, I don't know. I didn't see a lot of direction. I didn't see a lot of, you know what? Let's just get in there. Let's get to the line. Let me go in here and put up the shot. I'm not going in there passing it out to Precious, who shot an air ball. Like, listen, I'm yeah. To me, the Knicks weren't there mentally. But Jeff, you look like you wanted to say something.
I agree with you on that point. It's just, I don't know that it was just as much effort as it was focus.
With the
I,
focus.
I think they played hard, but
Right.
but they didn't play smart. They didn't have that crispness, that focus that they had in the Orlando game. Like every pass just seemed to be on point, on the money, just like they were on a string the entire time. And it just seemed like they were really disjointed in this game for some reason, that just comes down to focus for me. And Jalen's our general, so if he's having a tough night and he's not focused, then that really makes it difficult, because right now with the rest of the guys that we're playing, other than DiVincenzo, we don't have a lot of guys who are bucket getters.
And just to piggyback off of that too, Jeff, 21 turnovers. The lack of focus. I mean, we're not going to win many games having 21 turnovers. And when you go 9 for 40 from the three, you got to try and figure out some type of way to get to the basket. I think the first free throw we even had was in the third quarter, and that was Jalen Brunson. So he wasn't driving to the basket. As Queen said, every time we drive, we kick it out for a three, and that's how we end up losing the game. 9 for 40.
43s. Why are we taking 43s? And it's not even that we're passing it around to the open guy. We're in the key. I can't. It was at least 3 times where I said, "Oh, Brunson, he in the key, about to take this." He passed it out to somebody. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, last night was just overall bad, man. Just lack of focus, lack of intensity, lack of just urgency, man. And I'm with you, Queen. But we need to do better.
Yeah, I thought yesterday was unacceptable. But I hear what you're saying. For Ajay, it was just a matter of missing shots. I hear you.
Yeah, there are games like this in the NBA. It happens to every team.
Yeah.
Games where they're not focused, game where the defense is they don't have great defense. They not they have high turnover. It happens.
But this is the thing, Ajay, right? We know that this team is, I think it was either 7th or 8th last night, and we have a chance to punch them in the mouth to even win the season series, to make a statement, and we go out there and we lay the egg. We should have been more focused on trying to win that game last night. But as I said, I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. It is what it is.
Right.
But I just felt like we really lost an opportunity there to really solidify that 4th seed.
Yeah, and this is the thing. You don't have shooters around you don't have shooters around any player, whether it's Brunson or anybody. They can put more attention on Brunson or whoever it is and make it harder for them. Our offense right now is not good. For lack of it's just not good. I don't even see the formula for scoring. So it seems like our formula is drive and kick.
And
So
Queen, you see how last night, as soon as the game started, who did they have on Brunson? Oubre, 6'9", big wing. So automatically, that they was going to attack him, and they were blitzing him all the time. You know what I mean? So the lack of offense, as you're saying, Queen, is a concern. You know, just hopefully Dante and Precious and up and down Josh, get it together, man. Cause we gonna need them. You know,
Yeah. Do you think we are overestimating how good we're going to be when everyone returns? Or maybe another way to put it, are we underestimating how much time it's going to take for us to get ourselves together and get back on track heading into the playoffs? Because I've been one to think, oh, listen, once we get healthy, we're going to be good. Even if we only got 7 games left, we're going to be good. We'll put it together and we'll roll into the playoffs. You think we're underestimating, or those who think like me, underestimating how much time it's going to take to get players back playing together um, in game, situations heading into the playoffs?
I'm not too concerned or worried about that situation, but I do feel like we need for the whole team to gel. We at least need 10 to 11 games to really get a chemistry going. You know, I get it. Guys going to be coming back one by one. But as a full unit, I feel like probably um, 10 games should solidify a good chemistry for us to roll into the playoffs. But nevertheless, as I hear every player say, former and current players, Tom Thibodeau is always going to have these guys ready and prepared. So that's why you see one of the reasons why you see I'm not too really concerned, but I feel like 10 to 11 games with the full squad healthy should get us a good chemistry.
Shout out to JW. We are just not right. I am concerned. We just seem like we are off. Think about it. It's been 17 games, right? 8 and 10, 18 games. And the Knicks, like, so Randall and OG has been out. Yeah, 18. Like, that's not enough time to get some. Sure, you're not going to beat every team. Sure, you're down, two starters. But 18 games for whoever was left, this team hasn't really gelled. You understand what I mean? Like, they haven't. Yeah, they don't look great at all. Jeff, you wanted to say something in terms of are we underestimating what it's going to take when everyone gets back?
I don't know. Uh, it's different with everything. Like OG Anunoby came over in that trade, and it was just like we were shot out of a cannon, and so you know it's kind of tough for me to say that yeah we're definitely going to need this many games or that many games. I think conventional wisdom kind of says that it's probably going to take a little bit, at least 10 games or so to kind of get used to each other again and get acclimated, and are we going to be as good as we could have been had everybody been healthy? No, but are we going to be where we're a problem for teams pretty quickly? I think so, with the caveat of what's Julius's game look like with that shoulder? Like, is he able to play in the same form and fashion that he was prior to the injury? Or is he going to be more tentative? Is he going to be more reliant on the outside shot as opposed to going inside? What, what, what is the effect on his rebounding? Those sorts of things. That to me is the part of the acclimation process that I think will take the longest. But as far as and with Mitchell Robinson, it's how long does it take him to get his win back up? Because we know from seasons past when he comes back, it usually takes him 10 games or so to really get up to speed and in game shape. And I think that's a real thing, because doing cardio on the side is not like playing in a game. We all know that. And
Right.
so there's that aspect to it as well. But a lot of the things that the guys that we're missing do, they just do. You know what I mean? So there's not I don't know that there's as much an element. I think you got it about right. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. I don't think you're underestimating it. I don't think you're overestimating it. I think it's about where it ought to be.
Yeah. Shout out to Walter White. I appreciate the super chat. They were tired to come off the win versus Orlando and have to practice against OG. No one wanted to shoot. They were also physically drained, but that's how we know OG is ready. Are you taking callers? We're not taking callers tonight, but we might take calls Friday on Dope Soul Sports Talk if I could get that little plug in there. So be sure to drop by. Appreciate the super chat. The offense hasn't been great, to say the least. What's your thoughts on McBride, who's played, shot the ball, pretty well of late, for a good stretch, I should say. And Bogey, who potentially he had a few 20-point games for us. Both of those guys played like under 20 minutes these past 2 games. Against Philly, McBride played 15, almost 16 minutes. Bojan played 18 and a half minutes. Against Orlando, Bojan only played 12 minutes. And McBride played, where is he? 20 minutes. Do you think both of those guys should get more minutes given how anemic our offense has been of late? Ajay, we'll start with you.
The short answer is yes. And I don't understand Tibbs' rotation. And listen, I don't have to. He does he's the head coach. He does what he does. But when you watch the games and you see that a lot of guys are struggling, you feel like if you were in his position, you would have tried to inject like something different. Okay. And when you look at the big picture, right? The front office, they sort of did that. They realized we needed scoring, so they went out and got two scorers, two guys who were scoring. They were both of those guys were hitting over 40% from close to 40% from three, both of them. Okay, it hasn't worked yet, but they did that part. And on the court, I feel like during the game, it should be the same thing. When you see certain guys are struggling, sometimes you just have to try different stuff. It's tough because I know, we tried Bogdanovich. He's got one good game, 2-3 bad games, one good game. Alec Burks has been stinking up the joint, so don't even, it looks like Tibbs giving up on him, which I don't have a problem with. But maybe you should try like starting Bogdanovich, like throw him in the starting lineup. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. And Queen, don't ask me who would you remove. I'm just saying.
I'm not.
I'm just saying. Just try different things. Maybe you're gonna play Philly, who doesn't have a dominant center. Maybe you move Precious to the 5, have Bojan at the 4, and then you know what I'm saying? Like mix it up a little bit.
We went small a lot.
No,
last night, because remember Hartenstein only played like 20 some odd minute, so there was a lot of Achua at the 5 and either Hart or Bojan at the 4. But the issue with that lineup is now you're not getting the rebounding. But the way this is. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ajay.
No, I was gonna say if you're scoring, maybe you don't need as many rebounds. And I'm saying,
you do need rebounds on the other side so that you can get the ball to score. When the other team misses, the only reason you're going to be able to score is if you secure the rebound and give your team the possession.
Like I said, Philly, the way they're playing right now, they don't have a dominant big man. So maybe they're not a great rebounding team right now either. That's why you may be able to try certain things with certain teams. Maybe you could try that with Philly, because Philly doesn't have a guy crushing it on the boards. Like, maybe you could take a chance on that. I'm just saying, mix it up a little bit.
No, we did. The point I'm saying is we did.
No, to start the game, Queen. We started slow. and that's why I said in the starting lineup. Keyword starting lineup.
So you would take Hartenstein out the starting lineup and go with Achua and Bojan to
Or
start?
no, or sit Achua, have Hartenstein, Bogdanovich, for the scoring. Just mix it up
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little bit,
I hear
and
you.
then just try different things.
I don't even think it's the starting lineup. I don't even think it's the start because you can all if the starting lineup gets off slow, just change it up.
Mm.
Just change it up because it's going to be hard to take Hart out of the to start the game with Bojan and Achua and Hart. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, just try different. You don't, it's like, I mean, yeah, we're looking at it. We like Monday morning quarterback in this thing, right? So we could throw anything out there. Could say maybe he should have done this. Maybe, Deuce only played, I don't know, 15 minutes. Maybe Deuce should have been there like 28 minutes. To get his game going, and Burks should have played like, what did Burks play? 8 minutes, or
Against Philly, he played 12.
maybe he should have played 12 seconds and not 12 minutes, and then give Shake Milton a couple of minutes to see what he's got.
And but listen, the whole and I'm okay, with Shake, but I we played 9 people. I don't see Shake getting time. I just don't. I just don't see it.
I,
Um,
I
I think
don't
he was here for deep insurance.
I don't either. But if Burks is not playing well, Tibbs, he's gonna have to, you know, somebody's gonna have to take his minutes. Maybe it's not Shake. Maybe it's gonna be a Deuce. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's what Andy said. Andy said maybe we need to um, shorten the rotation even more. Maybe take Burks 12 minutes and give it to Bojan so Bojan could play 30. You
That
know,
that's not a
um,
bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all.
but now you're going 8. Now you're going 8.
I just feel like McBride, whatever minutes he got, yo, that's what he deserved last night. Because look, I have no problem with the young man. He's shooting the ball exceptionally well, but he is not putting the team in offense to have the offense go. Because normally when you see him, he comes in, he dribble, 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 and then when it's about 6 seconds, on the shot clock, he's looking to pass the ball, and we get a bad shot. I'm saying he's not a bad player, but he's just not initiating the offense as much as I want him to. And then when you put Burks next to him, he is even more worse because his shot selections is even more bad. Sometimes he's just throwing up shots. So Queen, I'll go back to a point where you were saying to us, to me, I think it was a couple weeks ago, where you said if this might come back to bite us. And you know what? It might just bite us a little bit, because we don't have that point guard to come in, a secondary ball handler to come in on the second unit and initiate the offense and get it flowing. Because you see when Bronson goes out, it's like it gets stagnant, and McBride, he's like hot and cold. So most nights we don't know what we're gonna get out of McBride. And as far as putting in Bogan in the starting lineup, I don't think that will work. That's just my opinion. I think they're gonna beat him off the dribble. He's not gonna get much rebounds. The only thing we're gonna get is probably scoring from him, and that's gonna even hurt us on the boards even more. And and Tibbs is a guy. You talking about trying stuff? We're trying to win games. This is not early in the season, 10, 20 games in the season where you want to experiment. If he doesn't trust you in that situation, that position, he's not going to put you in that position. He is going to roll with his guys that he know that he is going to win with. And shout out to Knicks GM 100. I think he made an excellent point. As I really think about it, I think Bronson was really playing for the whistles. because every time he get knocked down, he was crying. Every minute he go to the basket, get hit, he look at the ref. So things like that, he need to focus on and just focus on his game and play his game instead of worrying about if he not getting this calls and that calls. You understand, which is kind of unfair. Sometimes he do not get the calls, but he just need to go out there and play.
Uh,
Yeah.
Queen, I want to say something real quick. So, staff, and I understand your point. We're trying to win games. We're not experimenting. But so we have a team that's we three starters are out, and we traded for three guys, for two guys that are two vets. The only way to insert them in, you have to try. You have to experiment with them to see what they can give you, especially you don't have enough bodies out there. That's the only way you're going to understand what those guys could do for your team, whether now or when the other guys are back. So you're not gonna accomplish anything by not playing those guys that you got. I mean, I understand he's playing them, but he's just got you have to try different stuff. It's not the right time of the season, but this is the only way you're gonna do. It's like being between a rock and a hard place. He doesn't have a choice because he doesn't have enough bodies out there. It's either that or he plays Jacob Toppins and stuff like that. But
That's what I'm saying. So if we brought in these guys as veterans to fill in these roles, there's no need for no experiment. These guys know what to. You heard the press conference with Burks. Oh, he's been here. He knows what to do. He knows what Tibbs wants. Well, okay, if you know what Tibbs wants, why are you playing like how are you playing right now?
no matter what they say, it's an experiment. You bring in a new ingredient into an existing body.
I don't think it's an experiment.
It
At
absolutely
Jay,
is.
because if you're here,
Absolutely.
if you're here a long time ago and you know how your coach is, you know what he expects. There's
No,
no experiment in that. The coach expects you to go out and execute what he wants you to do. That's why he brought you in. If that was the case, we would have never went out
no,
and got him.
doesn't work that way, Staffa. That's not how it works. All right. When you were here, 2 years ago with a bunch of different guys. This is a different team. It's still the same name, the New York Knicks, but it's not the same team. It's a totally different team. You have to try it out. You have to plug it in, see what practice, and they don't practice.
Who needs to plug in what? We talking about Burks or Tibbs?
No, Tibbs. I'm saying he Burks played for him 2 years ago, but it was a different team. Unfortunately, they don't do a lot of practice because a lot of times back in the days they would have figured those things out in practice, but they don't practice a lot these days. In the new NBA, they just don't like they used to back in the days. So a lot of times you have to try these things out in the game. That's how you have to do it. Burks played here 2 years ago. That doesn't mean anything. Brunson wasn't here. IQ was here. It's just a different team.
Any surprise that this team hasn't gelled yet?
Yes.
Injury.
This team looks like they looking like OG and Randall just went out 2 games ago. Like any concern that this team hasn't
It is a concern.
formed there, whatever it's gonna look like, that they haven't gelled yet.
I think it is a concern because like we said, these guys are veterans, right? These guys been in the league. So one of the advantages of being a veteran, being in the league, I understand it's a new team, but you should be able to adjust quicker than a young guy who's coming out of college. Guys coming out of college take 1-2 years to get in NBA speed, but these guys have been here for years, so they should have caught up already. And not because they played here or not because he played here, but because they're veterans, they should be able to get in the groove a little bit faster. But there's a lot of moving parts. Precious Achua is playing minutes that it was never intended for him to play those minutes. Okay, I mean, we're talking about Bogdanovich and Burks, but don't forget Precious Achua also is new to this team, and he's playing minutes that he's never played in his life, and it was never intended for him to be. So there's a lot of moving parts. So it is concerning, but it's not. It I understand, like and then you have still with the her team. Jalen Brunson missed a couple of games here and there, right? I Hart missing a couple of games here and there.
True. True.
DiVincenzo missed a couple of. There's a lot of moving parts. It's
So it's
tough
not
to
like
get.
that. It was the same team
Yeah,
for 18
keeps
games. We
changing.
had Brunson out. Okay. All
It
right.
keeps changing, and they not. There's no practice going on, so it's like they're
Yeah.
looking at the board. They're sitting in the room on the board. They doing it in theory, but in practice, it's on the court. They're trying to figure it out. So
Do you think OG coming back is going to make, obviously, he's going to help the team, but do you think that everything is going to be righted because OG Anunoby is back? Apparently, he's supposed to be back for tomorrow's game.
I don't think he's a magic wand and all of a sudden, all of our problems go away. But what I will say is this: OG gives us a lot of lineup flexibility, right? We're talking about the problem of uh, Boyan minutes. Well, I think you can get away with playing Boyan more minutes if he's next to a guy like like Precious, who I mean, not Precious, like OG, who's such a force defensively and really can guard one and a half guys and make up for that difference. And I also think it helps that you don't have to play Josh Hart 40 minutes a game. So, I think that that's a big deal. OG's a pretty good shooter, right? So, especially from the corners. And so, if he's out there doing his thing, I think that helps us with our spacing. That gives us another option if they decide to trap Brunson. It gives them another outlet, another place to take the ball. I think it increases the spacing for Dante DiVincenzo, which is going to be a good thing because right now we really only have two shooters in the lineup, the starting lineup, and the starting lineup hasn't really been a problem. I think if you look at the numbers, the starters have been pretty good. It's really when we go to the bench that we've really had our issues, and that's not really a surprise. But I do think that I am a little bit surprised, at least last night, that the way that they were turning the ball over, that they didn't go to Deuce more, because he's not a natural point guard, but he's typically very good at taking care of the basketball. And that was definitely something that we struggled with last night. But back to your OG question, he's not a magic wand, but he cures a lot of ills and he gives us a lot more flexibility because I think you're able to play Burks more too, because Burks isn't a stout defender either. And so I just think that he makes a huge difference. He's a connector. He does a lot of the little things that don't show up in the stat sheet. And I think he makes DiVincenzo a much better player too, because DiVincenzo is really good at playing those passing lanes. And so then we get out on the fast break more as a starting unit, and we get some of those easier transition buckets and so we're not having to labor as hard and work for every possession like it's a trip to the dentist. You know what I mean? So I maybe I'm just biased, but I love OG's game, and I think he's an immediate impact player upon coming back. I think he's going to make a big difference.
I do think he'll make a difference. I don't think he's the difference maker that I think he's more of a difference maker when you have a more complete team. I think he's more of a difference maker when Randall is here. And I could be underestimating that. We shall see, because he will get his time to play without Randall. Because I still see him similar. I'm not talking about defense. On the offensive end, I still see him similar to the plays we already have, which is he plays off of a Randall, off of a he's at his best, I should say, playing off of a Randall or off of a Brunson. And that's how our team is built, with a lot of guys who could play off of Brunson and Randall. But when those guys are down, or even when we're down to just one, in this case, Brunson, who do we have that can generate offense by themselves? Again, everybody is off of Brunson now. We only got 1 point at this point. So let's see what he can do. I've seen him drive. I've seen him put the ball on the floor, a few times. We've seen DiVincenzo put the ball on the floor, but being able to put the ball on the floor and being able to be a threat, you know, um, it's just two different things. So don't get me wrong. OG is going to help us for all of the things you've said, Jeff, and the astute fans in the chat have said. He is going to help us. Offensively, though, he still needs to be set up, and I wonder, will he just blossom, offensively, and just and show us something a little different.
Well,
Um,
I'm interested to see what the lineup gonna be tomorrow if he does come back tomorrow. Are we going to sit Precious and have him play the four and Josh Hart at the three? Or are we going to have him at the three and leave Precious at the four and starting at the five, Devo at the two, and JB at the one? So I'm interested to see um, what the lineup is going to be just as far as offense. Because we know what JB is going to bring. We know Devo is going to give you a 3-point threat. But is that other component to see what OG is going to do on the offensive end? So that is going to be an interesting starting lineup tomorrow.
how different? Your thoughts on OG returning? Like, what do you see from him? Where do you see? How can he help us? Given this current state of the team, which is very different than the team he joined after the trade.
Well, for sure, we're going to always have that corner three threat from him. Two, we're going to always have that he's going to be guarding the best defensive player on the other side of the ball, and just as far as him coming back should bring back a intensity, what's the word I'm looking for, just an overall confidence that we know that he's coming back and the team is going to get better. So I think he's going to be definitely a positive threat on the other side of the ball, defensively and offensively. And I think it's going to be a positive for us, and that's just a start moving in the right direction.
Okay, Ajay, what do you think? OG returns mean for the team.
Man, honestly, I don't even know what to expect. I think, I mean, it's definitely gonna be, it's definitely gonna be a energy booster. At least mentally, it'll get our guys going just to have one of the soldiers back with them. In terms of, I mean, listen, it's his first day back. I don't know whether to expect him to be like this super efficient guy, this super defensively aggressive guy that he is, especially coming off of surgery. I mean, it's one thing to practice 5-on-5 with your teammates, but then the NBA game it goes up a notch. Like Clyde always say, they're gonna test that elbow. They're gonna they're gonna find a way to get to that elbow, to see if you're really back 100%. Um,
Mhm.
Listen, one thing about the game, tomorrow's a good game for OG to come back. And Portland is a good second game for him to be back because those teams are not, they're not top notch teams. That doesn't mean they're not good. They can beat us, as we saw yesterday. But those are good games for him to come back. And, we had OG Anunoby in the game yesterday. We easily win that game. You know what I'm saying? Even if that was his first game back. So, I, he's going to help, but it's not gonna be like all of a sudden we're not gonna go on a 10 game winning streak, you know, with just him coming back and not, not Randall and not the full squad. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's a good thing he's coming back. It's definitely gonna have a positive effect, and of course, I expect us to win the game, but it'll take some time. It'll take a few games for him to really get in the groove. And like I think you or Stafford just said, like, it's not the team that he left when he got hurt. It's not the same. Again, it's a lot of moving parts. It's a different team, different rotations. So
And he's going to have different expectations too
yeah,
coming back than he had when he first got here
yep,
because we're just because we're down,
yeah.
Um, I mean, do you think for OG, I don't know how many games he'll play before Randall returns, but even for our other guys who've been playing, do you think this bodes well for them? Do you think they'll be better come the playoffs with the extra time that they have, or not really because they're already veteran um, players for the most part? So it's not going to be that much difference for them.
With the guys coming back.
No, the guys who have been playing these extra minutes, do you think
Oh,
that's going to help us when they go back to the bench, or it'll probably be what it would have already been? Is that
I-
right? It would have been what
it
whatever.
would have been. No, I know what you're saying. I know what
Because
you're saying,
because
but
they're
no,
because they're veterans, and so this extra time is not
I,
really
I
that
think I
beneficial.
think it depends on the player. Like for instance, I think Bogdanovich is probably struggling because he's he's adjusting to not only a different team but a different role.
Mhm,
Like he's played a lot in his career, like on every team he's been. He's gotten, but
mhm,
it's a different role for him now. Maybe by the time we get back, maybe by the time the playoffs rolls,
mhm.
he'll be adjusted to that new role, and it's going to be beneficial. It could help us, yes. Do you know what I'm saying? And guys like Josh Hart and Precious Achua, I
Mhm.
think they're going to be so happy when the other guys are back that they don't have to play 40-45 minutes a night. And I think they're going to be too happy with that. So I think yes, that's going to help those two guys, especially Josh Hart. He's much more helpful when he doesn't have to play, all those minutes. So if you put him like 28, 30 minutes, he could be great.
I mean, I hear the complaints about Josh Hart. To me, Josh Hart has been you arguably the best player, at least over the recent stretch. And I think he hasn't been shooting well, but I just think we have to give that up. I just don't think that's his. I just don't think that's his game. I think what you're going to get from him is what we have been getting, and I think he's one player off that bench that I hope has been unleashed, so to speak, with these extra minutes that he has. That he's getting his mojo back, so that when he
Okay.
goes, hold on, so that when he goes back to the bench, he could play with the energy that we're used to seeing him play. He's not a 3-point shooter. He's gonna get and first of all, what did he shoot the other night? Some of them shots he does need to pass along to the to the next player. He's just not a good shooter. But the hustle plays, the rebounding, he might be leading us in rebounding over this stretch, at least over the past, I don't know how many games. His energy, his activity level, I really do not. Josh Hart is the person I have the least bit of issue with on this team right now. He just is.
And the playmaking too. He's had a lot of games where he's had 5+ assists, and I mean a couple triple doubles too. I think, but really really decent playmaking. I mean, I know he's every time he gets the ball on the fast break, it feels like a bit of an adventure. But really, if you look at some of his numbers of late, he's really been doing well in the assist department as well.
Yeah, I just have a love hate relationship with Josh Hart. You know, I agree with y'all guys. You know, what I mean, he's a stat stuffer. You know, what I
Mhm.
mean, he gives you all the ancillary stats that you need. But my thing is, and I always say it, just let it fly. Just let it fly because they gonna sag off for you. Perfect example. I don't know if y'all was watching this ladies basketball game. I think it was South Carolina and another team.
LSU.
And the girl never shot a 3-pointer in her life. She always complained that she don't want to shoot the three. You know what she did? She shot the three and they won the game. You gotta have confidence in your shot. I see you shaking your head, Queen, but I feel like he got to have confidence in your shot and let it fly. You can't be hesitant and decisive all the time. Look in the game yesterday. When he finally got confidence to let it go, it came down to a 3-point game. Just let the ball fly. You
Listen,
know,
Steph,
we are a good rebounding team, offensive rebounding team. We get second chances. I'm not saying it's going to go in all the time, Queen. Don't get me wrong. But I just need Josh Hart to let it fly when he goes back to the bench or even if he's still in the starting lineup because we need that threat. I know he's not the offensive juggernaut that I think I want him to be. No, I'm not saying that. But I just want you to be confident in your shot when you let it go because they're going to always have you open.
but he's open for a reason, Staffer.
Let it
He's open.
fly.
No, listen. If Josh Hart goes out there taking 6, 7, 8 threes, those are basically turnovers. You know what I mean?
But you know what, Queen?
No,
But you
no.
know what the coach gonna
I
say?
agree with
You
you
know,
about be decisive. Be decisive means you gonna shoot it or pass it along.
right.
But I cannot have Josh Hart out there taking 6, 7 shots because that's how open he is on pretty much every possession. He could take 10 threes a game. That's how open he is. I just feel like you got to keep. He's not a 3-point. Take a few. Take a few. What did he have? I think he had like 6 threes. To me, that's too much for him. Let me see
I
what
think
he
it was 1 for 7 against
He was
Philly.
1 for 7. Why is Josh Hart taking 7 threes? He's not a 3-point shooter. 7 3. He shot 14.3%. So this is what you want. You want him to let it fly. Okay, he let it flow. He let it fly. Flew 7 times against Philly and hit 1. 14.3%. Orlando, he took 5.
It was 3 of 5
He
though in
made
that
3
game.
of 5. Against Atlanta, he took 7. He made 3. He said it was 42.9% is not bad. But to me, DiVincenzo took 17. Wow. To me, this is just me personally. I get it. He should take, you can't pass up every 3, but to me,
Right.
threes is too much for Josh Hart. It's just too much for him. He's just not that great of a shooter to be taking
So
7.
okay, let me ask you this, right? Like last night coming down to the end of the game, right? And I spoke about it earlier in the show. Do you want defense or do you want offense coming out as far as Bogan or Josh Hart?
I feel like you gotta have both of them in my opinion. I just feel like because Josh Hart is not hitting shots, we underestimate everything else that he brings when he's on the court.
Well, you see, that's the advantage I think that he has over Bogan. Even though he's not an excellent 3-point shooter, it could let me say 4 out of the 10 times he's going to make that shot, right? And then on the defensive end, we're going to get that defensive intensity on him. Now with Bogan, I mean, they're going to beat him off the dribble all the time. And as far as with the 3-point, he's going to hit it. So, I mean, we have to pick our poison, Queen. You
No,
know,
I agree. I'm not arguing that.
is either we going to let him fly and have him make confidence in his shot, or we sacrifice his defense to put in Bojan to get the 3-point shot.
But there's other spots on the floor where you could put Bojan in. You don't have to put him in for Josh Hart. There's other people.
Imagine if he's taking that 3 instead of Precious in the final minute.
Oh my! Listen, this is this is the thing that Thibodeau is dealing with. Limited players,
Right.
players or they can give you something good offensively, but they're not going to give you something defensively. Precious is stout on the defensive end. I don't know what the hell is going on the offensive end. He can't absorb any contact. If a breeze blow by him, he's shooting an air ball. He gets an offensive rebound. Somebody nick him on his finger. It goes to the other side of the back. I'm like, I don't understand. I just don't understand. Somebody hit him. Somebody, I don't know why. I think it was Brunson threw, passed the ball to him behind the 3-point. And listen, sometimes he does hit the three. It was an air ball. Somebody might have got us fingertip. I just can't. So this is what you're dealing with. Oh, I'm gonna put Bojan in. I'm gonna put, if I put him in, forget the defense. If I put Precious in, I might get some offense. I might not. Yeah.
This is what I don't understand, right? You're coming to the chat, and the first thing you say is, why are we not blaming the coach? Tell me what we blaming the coach on, the coolest. What are we blaming the coach on? Tell me. Can you please put it in the chat to let me know why we have to blame the coach? What did the coach do last night that we had to put the blame on him for the loss? Because every time you come in here, it's always tips. I mean, come on, bro. Sometimes it's the players too. The players have to execute the play. You can't always blame it on the coach.
It's true, but I think this might be fair though. When are y'all going to point fingers at your beloved coach? You as a coach have to say, hey guys, we're breaking threes. Let's drive to the basket for easier buckets and draw. Well, he could have been saying that. We don't know. But I agree with you. I felt like the Knicks were actually getting in the key, and instead of putting a shot up, was kicking it back out when there really wasn't any shot blocker in the game. So I would have liked the Knicks to take more shots in the paint. Anybody else thoughts on that? I just want to see in the
The
game.
other thing, though, is that I think the quality of looks that we got last night were pretty good. Like, there are a couple that I was like, oh, I didn't really like that. It's like the one Jalen Brunson, and look, even the one with that Precious airball, he was open. I mean, it's not so. Is it better to force a shot in the paint as opposed to shoot a wide open shot, from beyond the arc? I don't know. It's a tough question, and I don't know that we were going to be getting a ton of fouls last night anyway. They was sucking on those whistles like it was a pacifier. So I'm not sure that you were going to be getting a ton of calls in that game anyway.
Yeah, the Knicks actually points in the paint was just -4. They had 34, we had 30. Second chance points, Knicks 15-8. Fast break points 5-6. Rebounding, the Knicks was +3 rebounding. Assists was pretty even, 20 for Philly, 19 for the Knicks. The steals were even, the blocks were even. We had 19 turnovers, they had 13. We did not shoot well, 32.5%. Neither did they. They shot 39.8. We shot 22.5% from the three-point line. They only shot 30. And we shot 75% from the free throw line. They shot 57% from the free throw line. We went to the line just 8 times last night. Just 8 times. Now, was that an official thing or was that us not getting in the paint? And they went to the line 20. They played out
points in the paint. Kind of says that it was just an official thing, wouldn't you say? I mean, in other words, I could see if we weren't scoring in the paint at all that you could kind of make that argument. But if we had more points in the paint than they did, I think that kind of said we're at least, not that they shot a lot of free throws either. I think they only shot 13 or 14. So
no, they shot 20.
Oh, they did. Wow, they shot that many. Okay, wow.
No, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong game. Hold on. Hold on. No, hold on. The box score. Sorry, looking at the wrong game. The team stats was correct. But in terms of, you're right, Jeff. This game was close. Like we went to the line 16 times. They went to the line 14 times.
So, I mean,
it was pretty even.
Pretty even, but not many free throws on either side, really, if you think about it. I mean,
not really.
14 free throws is a game's worth for James Harden. So, I mean,
Yeah. And only 3 people went to, no, 4 people. Brunson went 8 times. Hartenstein, not, yeah, he took 8 shots. Hartenstein took 2 free throws. Precious took 4, and Alec Burke took 2.
That's just to tell you, no penetration to the basket. You know what I mean? 43s, 43s with only 8 free throws,
16.
whatever it was. Sad.
Hmm. Um,
Queen
yeah, yeah.
Queen analyzing the data right now. She's citing like, oh,
No, but I agree. I thought the Knicks should have got took the shots because I saw them going into the lane. They just didn't take the shots when they got in there. I thought they were overpassing. So
No, that too. That too. That's why I say there's a lot of penetration. I seen Josh Hart got down to the key and he just turned around and swung it right out. When I feel in some instances he should have just went to the basket and got the contact and went to the free throw. That kind of probably could have opened up his game, but you know, nothing wasn't falling for us last night.
Rick James, we shot lights out against Orlando and bricked against the Sixers. Role players are just inconsistent. They are. I mean, they are. Yeah. Um, Devo. Listen, listen. I think Devo has no mid-range game. He's a catch and shoot player. Somebody else said the Knicks built this team around Brunson and Randall. They got players that fit around those guys. And Randall has been out. And it's making a huge difference for this team. We cannot, and we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about it enough. Randall being out, how that's really impacted this team. Um, he's another one that gets you easy shots with his gravity, with his passing. And then those guys can stay in their role and do what they do. Now we're asking them to come out of their role, create shots, shoot, catch and shoot off of passes that they don't even know where it's coming from. you know? Um, hopefully it's as simple as that. And when Randall comes back, even if he's not 100% scoring wise, hopefully he still has that gravity and can help these guys get looks and they can go back into their regular roles. Um, JJ said that there was a report. If somebody, I was trying to find it, that Ian Begley had said something about Julius Randle's injury.
I didn't see it.
I wasn't able to find it.
I wasn't able to. I didn't see it either. I'm normally on those things, but I guess I slipped on that one.
I think it
what
may
did
have
the report
just.
say though?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was probably because of his return. I know they did say that he's gonna travel with us. Him, Mitch, and OG is gonna travel with us on the West Coast trip. Um, I think they said he is doing light contact work, but not heavy contact. I think that's what it was. He's not getting heavy contact, and they want to know why he's still not being cleared by the doctors as yet, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me,
Mhm.
but I think it's something to that sort.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know they say that him, Mitch, and OG is going to be on the West Coast trip. I know that for sure.
Okay. All right. We shall see. Um, let's just go into next week's game. Well, let's talk about tomorrow versus Philly. Maxi will be back. Apparently, he's cleared protocols. I know a lot of us, I think, we definitely gonna get this one because they're gonna be, they're gonna come out ready because we lost. Any given night, anything can happen. Anytime we're super pumped that we should win this game, we lose. Anytime when it when it points to the fact that the Knicks are going to lose, we're crawling into this arena to play this team. We're decimated. We win. So,
Queen, put up Trav B's statement. He has a synopsis of what Begley said.
okay. Begley said there is some concern on why Randall hasn't returned yet. Tibbs said he might skip the contact and test it out on the court and see what he can handle. Why? Wow.
I guess they want to see where his pain tolerance is.
Okay.
You know, because from what I've been hearing, he's anxious to come back. And I know the coaches and the team is probably anxious to come back for the team to start rolling before we get into the playoffs. So I think it's a tolerance thing to see, when he dipped that shoulder, if he's going to get any pain or what's the pain stability that he could take on that shoulder. And,
right.
So I guess that's what it is from what I'm looking at.
And then also, how much practicing are they really doing? They probably doing like light practices. He probably won't know until he gets in the game.
Yeah, well, light contact, I guess they're looking for more heavy contact, more banging out the shoulder, see when he dipped, if, he could take that tolerance, see how the jump shooting look. All those things, go through all those protocols.
It's been looking good. It's been looking good in tape. When you see him working out, the jump shot is looking good, but
how's it look when he's rebounding in traffic in the middle of a
all of that
game?
Too.
That's the big concern as far as I'm concerned.
All of that too. So and plus also playing in 5-on-5 and getting that body contact. So I guess probably all that's in the protocol too. We'll see.
We play Miami early April, so that's a good way to
test
that.
Sit for that one.
Right.
Bam going for that show.
That's the thing, man. I wouldn't want him to play in that game.
I tell you,
Bam would just put him in an arm bar like it was WWE or something.
Yep.
Right.
Yo, did you see that dunk he put over what's his name, man? Kuzma? Oh my God. Nasty.
Yeah. Well, now that we're talking about Miami, I will be in Miami for that game. So if there's any Knicks fans in Miami want to go out for dinner prior to the game, let me know.
What is the date for that?
April 2nd.
April 2nd.
I will be in Miami. I wanted to. What are we looking for in the Philly game tomorrow?
More energy.
More energy. I agree.
More urgency. Less turnovers. Be more physical. And just take it to them.
Shot making would be nice.
Shot making would be nice.
All of the above.
Revenge game mentality.
All of the above.
Yeah. Yeah, come out with some, definitely with some urgency.
Maxi's a problem though now. Maxi's gonna make it tough. I mean, that ups the level of their game quite a bit, in my opinion. I think Tyrese is just a fantastic player. I mean, that's gonna make a huge difference, as far as their ability to make shots. And he can run their point guard position and, a lot better than Kelly Oubre or whoever else, was doing it the other night. I mean, he's tough.
He is, but if he scored 30 and Oubre 20, that's 50. The Knicks offense have to, has to get on track.
Kelly Oubre had his one good game. Let's not worry about him. He's not gonna do anything tomorrow.
Now, the boy been scoring 20 points in the past 5 games.
He had his one good game. Tomorrow, I'm
You
more
talking about against us or just in
against
general?
us.
Oh, okay,
I'm
okay,
more
okay.
I'm more worried about Buddy Hield because we don't got the 3-point line.
Actually, he got
That guy
injured
can go
yesterday.
off.
He got injured last
Did
night.
he?
Yeah,
He left the game for
yeah,
sure, but
yeah.
he did shoot
He got
4 of
Is
injured
6 from
last night.
3.
is he out tomorrow? I mean, I'm not
That I
really.
don't know, but I know he got injured last night. He didn't come back in the game at all.
All right. Let's before we get into Philly, let's just see this really quick. I know it's kind of small. Let me the Knicks are in fourth place. We are
Half a game.
a half a game above Orlando and 1.5 games out of the play-in. It's tight, ladies and gentlemen. It is tight. And what helped the Knicks with their loss was that everyone else lost that night. I think
That's
Cleveland
right.
lost,
That's right.
Orlando lost, Philly won, of course.
Miami
Miami
lost.
lost. Yeah.
You know, so that helped. But it is tight. It is tight. And this is why, this is what made yesterday's game, in my opinion, even more disheartening. But
Absolutely.
we play the 76ers tomorrow. Thursday we play Portland. Saturday we play Sacramento. The 76ers are on a 1-game winning streak. I wonder who they beat though. Um, they're 6 in the Eastern Conference, 2-1. Over their last 3, 30th in offensive rating, 3rd in defensive rating, 19th in net rating. Portland 18-45. Trapped. Like the Knicks can't be thinking about a team's record and whether a team is good or not. They just have to focus on
Play.
themselves, what
Yep.
they need to do.
Yep.
They've won their last game, 14th in the Eastern Conference. We're 1-0 against them. Their last 3 games, 14th in offensive rating, 25th in defensive rating, 21st in net rating. I mean, at some point, you just got injuries and all. And I remember Lady and the Chef said this, and I was like, wow, that's a little harsh. You got to figure it out. You gotta find a way to win. You gotta figure it out. Then Saturday we play Sacramento. They're 36-27. They lost their last game. They're 7th in the Western Conference. We haven't played them.
No,
We haven't played Sacramento. Oh, okay.
no, I don't think so.
We
All right.
play them. We play them Saturday. We play them in April. The game after Miami, as a matter of fact, in April is against Sacramento.
Okay.
All right.
Abby's got that printed schedule in front of him. You
Yeah,
can
I
tell.
know. They're 10th in
Old school,
offensive
baby.
rating over their last 3 games, 19th in defensive rating, 10th in net rating. So this is our next 3 games, but it starts with Philly. The Knicks want to redeem themselves, go 3-0. And then I'll forget all about that Philly game. Go out there, beat Philly, beat Portland, beat Sacramento, and I will forget about the Philly game.
Boy, Queen, I want to go 3-0, but I'm gonna have to go 2-1.
I'll take
Sacramento,
2-1. Sign me up.
Sacramento is a good team.
Sign me up.
I can't sleep on them. Now, if some revelation, Randall come back, and we have OG for that game, I'm definitely picking them. I'm picking my Knicks, but I'm going 2-1 on this one because I think Sabonis is going to be a handful. And what's his name? Fox. Yeah, Darren Fox. He's a beast. So, and then you got Malik Monk, 6th man of the year coming off the bench. He's gonna be electrifying. So we're gonna have our hands full in Sacramento.
Remember, they're not a good defensive team.
Malik Monk
That's
out of
fine.
beating
But
us.
just as Indiana is not a good defense, and they putting up a lot of points. So I say we beat Philly tomorrow. We beat Portland, and then we come back down to reality in Sacramento.
We've been lucky that teams have been choking. It's true. I mean, the Knicks were 8-10 over this stretch and still holding on
Yeah.
to that
Yeah,
fourth.
8-10 without Anunoby and Randall.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's really good though. I ain't going to lie. That's good.
Especially when you consider Brunson didn't play all of those games either.
Yeah, he missed some games too. The thing about it is, I don't think Brunson is 100%. He didn't play like he
Absolutely.
was 100% against Philly. He wasn't his aggressive self. He sat, you know, he played 32 and a half minutes or something like that, which was below his usual minutes. I don't know if he's on a minute restriction. I'm not sure what that is. But and if so, we're going. I say that to say we want to go 2-1 and 3-0 without Brunson at 100%. You
That's
know,
tough.
yeah, yeah. Rick James said he's looked slow since the ankle injury. Which one?
You, you, Queen, sir,
Mhm.
I feel like something bothered him that first quarter of the game. That's why he went out so long. I think something probably got aggravated in him because from the first one
Mhm.
or 2 minutes, I see him. He not himself and he arguing with the ref, and then I see Tip just pull him, and then I ain't see him until the second quarter. So I don't know. What do you all think about that though?
Maybe he did aggravate something. Maybe he wasn't 100% coming in.
Yeah,
Because
but
I
you're not
find that
getting the
was
choice.
real
You're gonna
weird.
play. You make the choice. You say I'm good to go, coach. You gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? If you're not healthy, don't play. But if you well enough to play, you better bring it.
Bring it on.
And I think we'll see a much better. I don't know if we're gonna win against Philly tomorrow or not, but I think you'll see a much better performance. I'll be shocked if we have another bad Jalen game. Let's just put it that way. I mean, yeah, you just heard his post case game comments. He's like, I played like, well, you know what he said.
A Nick fan has entered the building. Salute to Jack City. I met him at the what is that Morning Brew Network? I always get it wrong. Um, their watch party.
Nice.
Salute Jack City. Oh, he did say it. A Nick fan just entered the chat. All right. Anything else on Philly in this upcoming week of games?
Let's just get the 2-1 at least. 3-0 would be great, but let's just get 2 out of 3.
Yeah, yeah, definitely for sure. All right. Before we get out of here, let's spread a little love. That's the Brooklyn way
Yep.
and the Dope Soul way and the Queens
Yes,
Court
sir.
way. Two
Yes,
Nick
sir.
Chicks. They was at the game with us. If you guys haven't already, check them out. Subscribe to their channel. Just go to the search bar on YouTube, put in Two Knicks Chicks and subscribe to their channel. They do great work. Diva Locks and Lady and the Chef. They usually do a pregame before the Knicks play, and the post game, if I'm not mistaken, is the next day. But subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications, and then you'll know when they go. And then I also want to give a special shout out to DJ Shuttle, who was at the game with us last night. He's usually a panelist on Queens Court, but he's doing his things Mondays with DJ Shuttle on Instagram Live every Monday, 8 p.m. I'm not sure if he's still rocking now, but you could check him out on Instagram on Mondays and then on Fridays, 108 Soul, wherever you get your music from.
I would love to hear his reggae selection.
Yeah,
Just, just,
he
just,
does a
just,
lot of.
just curious. Just curious.
Yeah, yeah. But it was good to see him. We miss you, DJ. We miss you, DJ Shuttle. And
No
just go
doubt.
back and give a shout out to the MBK family of shows, pregame, postgame, the shoot around with Simeon Russell, created the channel, the NBA wrap up with Ron of Still Nick fans. It was good to see Ron and John. It was a treat to see both of them in the same place. The controversy with Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, the Losers Lounge with Tony Crow of Knicks and Bruiser. Shout out to Tony. He couldn't make it to the panel tonight. Live shows and videos by International Andy whenever he feel like it. Hopefully he made it back to Poland. I know he left last night. Queens Court, right here Mondays 8:30 p.m. unless the Knicks have a game with yours truly of Dope Soul Sport Talk. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Right now, we're going on Friday nights, the weekly show, because the Knicks have a lot of Thursday games. Same thing. Go to the YouTube search browser, put in Dope Soul Sports, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button. Special program and events by Sim. I'm sure we'll have more watch parties as the playoffs roll around. Any last words?
Thank you for having us, Queen. This is a great show. The chat, you're always on fire. I appreciate y'all's perspectives. You always make me a smarter fan, and I appreciate that. Staff of Don, keep on the men, brother. We're glad you're back with us, and Ajay, always good to see you too, brother.
And you already know,
Always a pleasure.
we in the back working. Me and Ajay working on something. He got his thing coming. I got my thing coming. So look out for it underneath the Dope Soul Sports Talk umbrella. Soon come. Yeah, we working, man. We working. So salute to all the Nick fans out there. Salute to the chat. Ajay, Jeff, and Queen. You already know. Much love and respect. Much love and respect.
Always a pleasure to be here with you guys, and see you on the Friday this week. Friday.
Friday.
Listen on Dope Soul. Keep your turn on your notifications. That way, when we come on, and when Queen decide to have like a midday show one day, like you don't miss it.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Never know. And Lady and the Chef are two Knicks chicks. She'll be joining Queen's Court starting next week. So be sure to tune in. I love the way she give it up. Very calm, but to the point. To the point. To the point that if you focusing on her calmness, you don't even get the fact that she says something, really activating to some. So I'm looking forward to her joining us next week. And
she tell you your game is trash, but she say it's so sweet. You don't even know.
Jeff, you be like, oh, thank you. You're like, wait a minute, you see this?
yeah, definitely. All right. Thanks for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at BKSteph33. Subscribe, Dope Soul Sports and Knicks Talk. Shout out to Sim. Appreciate him for all he does for the Knick community, the MBK fam, and for giving me an opportunity to host the show. Appreciate it.
Queen also for organizing stuff like yesterday, man. That was such a good time.
Yeah, man. Yesterday was nice. Yeah, yesterday was nice. Yeah, the MBK fam is tight. Listen, whenever the events come out, if you get an opportunity to come hang out with the MBK fam, you will not be disappointed.
For real. I got to make it out there one day.
Yeah, we do. If Andy can come from Poland, Jeff, Staffer.
I know. There's no excuses. No excuses.
For real,
no excuses. Yo, hey, yo. You make me look bad coming from Poland, bro. It's all love. It's all love.
For sure. Until next time, family.